Lart and Jelly, wooka wooka, what's up? From Paul Blart. Okay. I'm sick. Who isn't these days, huh? Freaking vaccines and stuff. Yeah, that's the reason. That's the problem. Going over today the plant care cards. It's a big part of identification. Also, if you're kind of like at a nursery or something like that, you don't exactly know what you're looking for, but you're wanting some information. They're usually all on the cards. So I have one from one that I picked up. Looks something like that. It's going to say your... Yeah, we'll go over it on... I have an actual one on the page next. I'll click on the other screen here, but we'll kind of say like the actual... Usually it's going to be something along the lines of like the botanical name. Actually, the botanical's normally on the back, but the common name's on the front. And maybe like the variety. Again, we're going to go over that in a second here. And the back is just like some tidbits and information about the actual caring of the plant, of what it likes, and what, like, how it's going to be best suited. So let's dive on in. Whatever there's a way I could zoom in on this. Probably see it fine actually. Okay, so kind of what I was showing you here. So on the front, main thing there is sun exposure. That's probably like one of the biggest and most important parts. Is like you want to make sure that it's something that is going to work for whatever's in your area. So if you have a lot of shade, then a sun plant's not going to do too well. Vice versa. Usually the other way around. More so, I'd say. Like if it's like a shade-loving plant and it's in the sun, it's going to get absolutely dusted because it's just doesn't like the sun and it's just getting spent. I think the leaves would probably start to wither and they look brown and ratty because it's just not what that plant's made for, right? Not made for, but what the plant does. So again here, so yeah, we'll say full sun. I find a lot of them, and it annoys me because it's like, and I know a couple people say the same thing too, is they're just like they really like to. Some of them like cover their bases where it says like part sun to part shade, or like full sun to part shade, or it is kind of confusing sometimes when it says that because it just sounds like they're saying like either or. Which, in reality, yes. Some plants are like, there are some out there that are either or. You can do sun or shade. Let's see if I can find one. Use sun and shade. Maybe or. Corabels. So versatile plants. Really try not to use the AI overview anymore. Not like anymore, but ever. It's just, I mean, it's like a nice quick answer, but I'm really trying not to. I am trying to like learn something. 21 shade plants that thrive in low light. That thrive in sun or shade. Get out of here. For full sun. It will grow in sun or shade. There we go. They grow in full sun, 6 or more hours of sunlight, In full shade, 4 hours or less of daily sunlight is a bit more limited. Okay, another side note here on my side note, which is diving off of the main quest. If it's an afternoon, if you have sunlight in the afternoon, then it's going to be a sun-loving plant because that afternoon heat is a lot warmer than the morning heat. So if you have like some morning sun, afternoon shade, that's going to be a shade plant. It's going to do better with that. Little fun fact for you. Dive on in. Sun exposure depends on variables like how the sun moves through the space of the day, shade or surrounding trees, building. As I was saying, I wanted to learn stuff, and here I am going. Whether designing gardens, traditional zones, degrees of light or searching. A little trial and error makes sense. Abelia. Full sun. So that's what I'm saying here. It says full sun to partial shade. Sometimes it's a little confusing when you see that and you're like, that I'm confused. Like, which one do it be? And so with a full sun to partial shade, I mean, it does say it right in the name there. Like, they're going to be saying that's definitely catered more towards a full sun. Probably do better in full sun, but it will be able to do a little bit of shade. Coral bells. I do like coral bells. Full sun, partial shade. Look at that. Turk. I don't know what Turk is. I don't know who this Turk is and why he's got a cap, but full sun to full shade. That is what I'm saying. That's confusing. So that's right there. Like, that means I'm assuming that that's a full sun and a full shade. Like, you can have either or. Okay, here we go. This plant spans various soil and light conditions from full sun to shade and offers effortless. So again, that would probably make sense. That would be a very hardy plant if it can just kind of grow wherever. So small hibiscus. Okay, let's go back on track. Let's get back on track. Oh, that's for another day. Don't look. Okay. Sun exposure. That was only the first thing. We're only on the first one still. Okay, let's get going here. Common name. African marigold for this one here. I find most people will know the common names more than the scientific names, which is the botanical names. I don't think it matters. It does matter because sometimes the common name might be different. Or it might be like the same name for something else. So the African marigold might be the same common name as something else. So the scientific name is definitely catered to this plant specifically. Genus and species. So that narrows it down. I was going to add it to this video talking about genus and species, and I don't have enough time. That's a big topic, so I'll save that one for a whole new video. Bloom season, I usually see these ones on the back here. It's kind of going to tell you what. So where I live on Vancouver Island here, most of the cards, most of the stuff, like say like some rhododendras or some azaleas. Well, the rhodos is right now, so it would be like April to May is when you can expect the blooms, and then it's just going to be like evergreen for the rest of the year or rest of the year, I guess. So you kind of, especially with like a perennial, you're expecting some kind of bloomage. So they tell you when. And this one's like pretty basic. It's just saying like spring, summer, fall, or winter. But most of the ones I've seen, they do say like specifically like the months. Like they're like, oh, from like May, end of May, or like beginning of June, you're going to see it around this time. And they're usually pretty spot on. Maybe not that specific. Maybe just like May to June, May to August kind of thing like that. Not like by the day. On May 24th, it shall bloom. So it be said. Pitcha bloom. And on the back side is where you get more of like the tech specs. The tech specs look at me go, eh? Tech spec. The ones I see too, it's not really on here very much, but I see more, it doesn't look like it's on here, but a description. So again, on the one I have here, there's a description right under the name of the actual, look at that, good quality camera, huh? There's a description of it. So, dwarf globe-shaped evergreen shrub with flattened fans of blue-green, scale-like foliage, foundation, plantings, containers, low hedges, and mixed borders. So, there's always like a nice tidbit on the back there of a description of the actual thing. It's just not showing on here. And each one is different. Some of them have a lot of info. Some of them have literally nothing, and you're just like, this is very convenient. I need to know what's going on here. The water, that's a pretty convenient one. I don't think I've seen them. Like, it usually will say how much you should water. Or it'll just say, like, you should water it until it's set up, and then it can kind of do its own thing. But you have to keep watering it until... This one says, let the soil dry out in between water-ins. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that before with, like, the number of water droplets. Average size is a pretty common one, and I'd say that's what most people look for. Not just guys on Reddit, but like the average size for like, because they want to know what they're gonna be expecting, right? Like, if you buy a freaking tree or like a shrub, and you're like, oh, I want this in a pot, and it's gonna go on my balcony, and then you're like, I have like a 5-foot max. Then you're like, well, on the label, if you see here, it's 50 feet. So it might get a little high. There's actually a lady just in earlier today, and she was looking for an olive tree. And on the label, it said 20 to 50 feet. And I was like, that's a big fucking tree. Holy shit. He's saying, like, you have to prune it back. And I was like, yeah, I don't fucking doubt that. Actually, I wanted to see that. Oops. Olive tree height. 15 to 30. That makes more sense. Maybe it was 20 to 30. For some reason, I thought it said 50. And I was like, whoa. That'll be a freaking huge. Average size, spacing of how much space to leave in between plants in a garden, and what you're kind of putting down, which is also a good one too, because you don't want the roots to kind of fuck with each other, and then also, or one might absorb more liquid than the other, killing the other one. Hardiness, big one too. We just talked about that in the other video if you're paying any attention. That the hardiness is important, because that really does matter if you're going to be able to grow it or not in your area. And that's, hardiness is a very important thing. Because that's, and but like, if you're buying it in your local area, if it's not going to grow there, they probably won't sell it there. So it's not something you have to actively like worry about. Like, they're not going to, I mean, if you go to a big box store, they might not know the difference and bring something in, and all of a sudden you're like, ah. But normally, if you're buying from your area, you don't have to worry about that unless you're ordering it in or something. Fertilization, I've never seen that before. How often to fertilize? I mean, it's probably, you should probably always fertilize a little bit when you're first starting off. Like, if you're putting something in the ground, never hurts to throw in some fertilization with it. Mounding growth. I haven't seen that before either. Bee hazard warning. Haven't seen that before. Animal resistance. is on there. I have seen that one. I'll usually tell you, like, it's deer resistant. That's a big thing in my area here. Doesn't mean that it's true. Like, doesn't mean that it's gonna stop the deer from trying to eat it. But it's supposed to. Doesn't mean it always do. Especially with, like, younger deer, because they're experimenting. They're trying to understand what they can and cannot eat. So they're going to be taking chances with what they eat. So they may eat something that is completely deer resistant. And they may understand right then and there that that's just a bad idea. They may spit it out or throw it up or not finish the rest. But no matter what plant you have, if you live in like a deer heavy area, like they're going to take some chunks out of your stuff. It just happens. And they're smart too. They'll know how to like eat around like barberry or buckthorn or any of these ones that have like the fine points and stuff like that are pointy. They're just like kind of like a, you know, does that make sense? Yeah, I'm gonna have to call here. My throat is getting worse as the more I talk, and my nose is getting more and more blocked up. So